Now, if you've ever thought, I wonder if I could do kinesio taping all by myself on my own pain, you've come to the right place, because that's exactly what you're about to learn in this tutorial. That's right, I'm going to teach you all of the basics, how kinesio tape works, how to put it on, all of the things that you need to know so that you can self-administer kinesio tape to yourself. Okay, in this one, I'm going to do it on my own elbow. So if you happen to have any tennis elbow, any elbow pain, this is going to be perfect for you. Okay, now, so the videos I'm about to show you, these are from my kinesio tape course that I did a couple of years ago. They're all completely relevant to today. Now, let's get started, and I'm going to go through everything step by step. So sit back, enjoy, you're about to find out what it is to do kinesio tape on yourself. So how does kinesio tape work? Well, to tell you the truth, we actually really don't know. There are theories, but we don't know exactly how it works. But I'll give you the best thing of what we think is actually happening. So what happens is, here's your kinesio tape. Now kinesio tape stretches this way, lengthways. It's got a paper backing, you rip that off, and as I'll show you. And what it is, you stretch either the tape or you stretch the muscle, and then, so for example, let me just show you here. If I stretch the muscle, we put the tape on there, and then when your muscle comes back to a relaxed state, what happens is, if you can see my skin, it goes like this, because this recoils, okay? So it makes these little convolutions in your skin. And I'll give you an example of that on my shirt. So what we think is happening with these convolutions, these little wrinkles that come up here, it's offloading the tissues, all right? So what that does, as it gives space between the tissues, as it brings them up like this, got these wrinkles, these convolutions, it brings space, which gives you, as I say, it offloads the tissue, so it helps decrease pain. If there's swelling, it helps reduce the swelling. It increases a better healing environment, as more nutrients and fresh blood can go into that area. Because what we're doing when we're treating someone, we're creating a healing environment to decrease the pain or to heal their tissues. So why this is so good is, and why your top therapists all around the world are using this stuff, and top athletes, is because this offloads the tissues 24/7. And this was originally designed by a Japanese chiropractor, that he designed this because he wanted to continue the healing environment between his chiropractic treatments. That's why he came up with this. So this was originally designed to work between treatments, and that's exactly what happens. So you do your massage and then you'll put them on. So let me show you here. All right, so I'll take off the paper backing. Now imagine my blue shirt is my skin. So this is what happens with your skin. All right, so I'll put on a stretch, put it on there. All right, so imagine I say that, then we lay down what we call the anchors, the end bits. Now this tape was put on a stretch, it wants to recoil, and as you can see there, these convolutions in my shirt. That, if you can imagine, is what's going on with the skin. So that is providing, as I say, more space, decreases pain, decreases swelling, and makes a better healing environment as it offloads the tissues. So that, in a nutshell, is how we think kinesio tape works. So where did kinesio tape actually come from? Because it's a $200 million a year industry. In the United States, 40% of that $200 million is spent every year in the United States alone. But so we've got to go to Japan in the 1970s to find out where kinesio tape actually originated. And it originated from a chiropractor and acupuncturist called Dr. Kenzo Case. Now, this guy was treating lots of people, but mainly sumo wrestlers. And of course, they get injured a lot. And he wanted to develop this tape, kinesio tape, that would treat them continually between the treatments he was giving. So he'd treat them, and by putting on the tape, it would continue to drain lymph. It would continue to ease their pain. It would continue to heal the area as well. So he had this, so this is where kinesio tape actually came from. So he was doing this for years. He invented it. He got it manufactured, but still no one had ever heard of him. And by 2004, Dr. Kenzo Case had written over 20 books on kinesio tape, but we'd never heard of him. Aha! But then, in what I call a marketing ploy of genius, the Kinesio USA in the 2008 Beijing Olympics donated 50,000 rolls of kinesio tape to 58 different countries. Now, so what happened was people started to use it. But what really changed it all was an American star volleyballer, Kerry Walsh Jennings. Now, she used it because she was just recovering from rotator cuff surgery, and she went out there in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, won the gold medal. The tape stayed on. It was pink and black, and everyone was wondering what on earth this stuff is. And so from there, it absolutely took off to what it is today. It's growing and growing and growing. In fact, you can say that was really the time where kinesio tape, or the idea of using kinesio tape, really began to stick. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just say that? The idea of kinesio tape really began to stick? I can hear the groans from here. Rightly so, by the way. All right, let's move on. That's just terrible. Okay, so I want to explain to you what sort of equipment you're going to need to do kinesio taping. Now, you want the skin dry, no grease or oils, especially if you've been doing massage on them first up and then you want to put it on. So it has to be free of grease, oils, dirt, and it has to be clean and dry. Okay, otherwise a kinesio tape won't stick. So you can simply use soap and water and then dry it off really well. You can use alcohol swabs or just simply these little wet wipes, these little things. Don't get the ones that have got moisturizer in them because, like, for babies, but these little baby wipes without the moisturizers work perfectly. It'll clean off the oils and grime and grease and that sort of thing, massage oils. So you definitely have to do that. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to prepare the skin so that it's clean and dry. Okay, so there's just a few things. As I say, at a pinch, soap and water, dry it up with a towel. Now, if a person is really hairy, it might not stick very well. So you may have to get out the razor, or you can just simply give it a little trim. Okay, so now it does stick to pretty hairy people, but if it was like really hairy, you can give it a little trim. It doesn't matter if there's some stubble there; it actually sticks really well to that. So you may just have to do that. All right, scissors. You are going to need a pair of scissors to cut the kinesio tape. Don't go cheap on the scissors. You need really good scissors to cut this nice and cleanly. So don't go and steal your child's scissors from the play box. You need some good high quality scissors to cut the tape. Now, when it comes to the kinesio tape, there are a couple of different ways you can buy it. These are pre-cut, pre-rounded. As you're about to learn, if you don't already know, we must, which I'll go through in the course, we must always cut the corners. Otherwise, they're going to, if you don't cut the corners, then they'll just get frayed and they'll pop up and then it'll peel off. So you can see these have been pre-cut at 10-inch segments, okay? And they've been pre-rounded. So you can get that, and they're great because it's, you don't have to worry about cutting them. The other way to get them is just in a simple roll. You see that there? It's got the paper backing. It's got lines so you can, measure it out a little bit. So you can then cut the length that you actually want. So that's the good advantage of this here, is you can cut the length that you want. And I'll show you how to do both of these. And of course you'll need to get your scissors and cut the corners, which I'll show you. All right, so there are your two types. Now, as I say, the advantage of these that are already pre-cut and pre-rounded is because they're pre-cut and pre-rounded. So they're very user-friendly, very easy. And but these will do you absolutely fine as well. You just got a couple extra minutes of doing a bit of cutting of the corners. But so that's what we've got. That's all you need. All right. Now I want to show you about the pressures that we're going to use, the amount of stretch, because this can get really confusing on how much stretch you need to. And I'm going to simplify this so it is dead easy for you to do. Okay, so I want to go through the basics of how to use kinesio tape, and it is very basic, okay? Now, the vast majority, you'll just use a 10-inch strip, roughly 10 inches, okay? You can get out your tape if you don't have the 10-inch and just measure it. You want to do it along, along the muscle, more or less. So you can measure it, from there and get at that. But around about 10 inches is which is why they generally have them pre-cut at 10 inches. So that is your stabilizer, and I'll go through this. Now, so that will go along the length of the muscle, and when we apply it, and again, don't worry if you don't follow this right now, but when we apply it, what we do, we always have the muscle on stretch, and we put very little stretch into this tape, with very little tension, which I'll go through, but we always, the ends are what they call the anchors. And when we tear off the anchors here, there's no stretch, because you only want this tape stretching in the middle, but not on the ends, okay? So the ends, because that'll stick it down. One big no-no is to put huge amounts of stretch into this, because it will either irritate the skin and or just pop off because it's too tight, okay? So very little stretch, and I'll show you as I say. But we always just remember this golden rule, you always put the muscle on a stretch when we put down our stabilizer. Okay, and the anchors at the end will have zero stretch. Now, so you can imagine, so what happens is, when this wants to recoil, so we've got, imagine the tape's here, and this is the stretchy bit here that's stretched out. So we've got that on stretch. Now when we recoil, well, bring the hand back to relaxed, the recoil of this tape, you can see those little wrinkles there. That's exactly what we want in the tape, which gives you your little wrinkles, your convolutions. Okay, so that will go lengthwise along your muscles, whichever they may be, okay? Now, that's your stabilizer. Then we have the decompression tape, which is going to now pull from the other direction from this way. Now, the muscles will contract and relax along the length of their muscle, okay, like this. But they won't stretch sideways, will they? Okay, so we need to put more stretch into this decompression to achieve that wrinkling effect, like you can see there. So this one needs more pressure, and we're going to use just off full, so 80 to 90%. I'm going to show you really, this whole area of tissue tension, tape tension, can get so convoluted, and it's really not necessary. I want to show you how to do this without having to think, because they'll go to 100%, then come back to 50, then it's completely unnecessary. I'm going to show you a dead simple way that you can do it every time. So this has to be about halfway, half the length of this one, so 5 inches, right? And that's going to go across in a little fashion like that. Okay, so we'll cut this one here because we'll use that. So make a nice cut. All right, so we've got our thing. Now we have to round our corners. All right, 1, 2. By the way, the colours of the tape matter not at all. They're just fashion. Doesn't matter. There's not different qualities or anything like that. So, okay, so there we go. So you got your stabilizer, and this one offloads it, okay, the decompression. So this one goes along the length of the muscle, like I said, and this one we're going to use a lot more tension because we need this one to recoil a lot harder to pull up like that way, because we can't stretch out the muscle like we did in this one. Okay, and so that will go. Now this one, by the way, goes over the site of pain or injury. All right, so this goes along the length of the muscle. This one, if it's tennis elbow, will be bang smack over the top of the pain. If it's pain down here from trigger points, whatever it is, an injury, that will be the one that's going right over that area. All right, so let me show you how we're going to apply these, because there's lots of different ways, but I want to show you what I think is the simplest and best way to apply these. All right, so let me show you how to apply this kinesio tape here for you. So we'll start with our stabilizer. So I'll use this, so I have to cut it off, all right? So we want it around about the length here, so we're going to start it. Let's say I'm treating tennis elbow. Okay, so let me go through the basics. So we'll get around about here. We'll cut him off. Okay, and now we'll round off the corners. Always rounding off the corners so they don't catch on clothing and so on and so forth. And that's all you need to do. All right, so there's the corners done. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. Now, we're going to use what's known as the anchor. So we're going to tear around about an inch and a half, that sort of thing. So 3 centimeters metric. Gosh, it's been so long. You wouldn't believe I grew up learning the metric system. Anyway. So, around about this big, okay? Inch and a half. So, I'll tear down this line here. You see that line there? Doesn't have to be there, but let's do it anyway. So let me show you. We just tear the backing here. Okay, so this is going to be our anchor, which has 0 stretch. Okay, zero stretch. Now, if I was going to, now let me just dry my arm here. It's a little bit perspiration here. It's 100 degrees humidity outside. So we do not want to put the anchor on the lateral epicondyle, which is the spot where the pain is in tennis elbow, okay? We want it above it because the anchor has zero stretch. The anchors are there to do exactly that. Anchor the tape down. Between the anchors is where the stretch is. That's where the recoil happens, which is where all the healing happens from. So we want this to be above the lateral epicondyle, okay? So we'll start it up here. So here's our anchor, zero stretch, epicondyle side of pain, and we'll place it down there. Now, right, where we go here. Just straighten that off there. There we go. Okay. Now you don't want to touch the glue very much because it will stop sticking. It's heat activated, so you've got to give it a little rub. So give it a little rub. Now, so what we're going to do is we always, when we can, put the muscle on stretch because it will give it better recoil. So all you need to do now is pick up the paper. So we're going to peel the backing off. So here's what I do. Come up, right the way up so we get another anchor. Now, okay, so I've left about the same amount, an inch, inch and a half on this end. That's going to be your other anchor. Now, on a stretch, okay, and I'm not pulling, here's no stretch at all, okay? Just give it like a half an inch or a centimetre. Keep the muscle on stretch and then lay it down. All right, you don't have to worry about 20%, 30%, 40, 50%. Keeping it on a stretch, give it a rub, and then the anchor at the bottom, zero stretch, which will hold it there. There you go, look at that. Oh, it's nice and yellow. And see, look, recoil, recoil, recoil. You see that? All right, let's have a look here. So, okay, so that's exactly what we want to be seeing. All right, so that's your stabilizer. So you saw what I just did. You're not stretching it hard, you're stretching. So when you go from no stretch, just put it a centimetre, half an inch, and that'll give you around about your 20%. Because kinesio tape will stretch 40% of its own length. So here's a little bit of maths for you. A 10-inch strip, which was 40%, will be 4 extra inches. Okay, so if we halve that, 50% tension on it would be 2 inches. Halve that again, 25% would be an inch. Okay, so yeah, I don't want you to worry because people go, oh, we go back and then go back. No. There's absolutely, because other companies don't put any stretch on at all. Because here's the thing, there's no hard and fast, there is no research out there because it's still quite new that says 30% is better than 20% is better than no percent is better than 40%. All right, you just don't want to have it at 90, 100% for the reasons I stated. Okay, so there we go. That's our stabilizer. Now we need to get our decompressor across the pain. So now, as I said to you, we can't stretch it like we did here. We need to stretch this so it will recoil that way. Right, so we get your 10-inch strip if you've got it, or if you're going to cut off your roll. So your 10-inch strip, fold them in half. Yeah, you can cut it like that and then do each one. Or you can be really sneaky and do like I'm going to do and just cut around, around, around. And we've got two. Better trim that up a little bit better. There we go. Did a bit of a rough job on that one. Hang on. There we go. Alright. You can make them look pretty, as you can see. I just make them functional. Alright, so this is going to go... Now, you don't want to be into the creases of behind the knee, into the armpits, because they can rub and that sort of thing. So, but normally we're going to have it perpendicular, okay? So, lateral epicondyle, here's your pain. So remember, anchors here, no stretch. We've got a tiny bit of stretch down through here, let's say it's 20%, and anchor, no stretch. That's golden rule every single time. Anchors have no stretch. Same thing with this, we're going to have anchors. Now normally, what I would do, which I'll show you throughout the course, if I'm going to do something like I showed you with my shirt, we just split this in the middle and then stretch it, and the anchors, and I'll show you that through the course. But because I have to do this on myself, and if you were going to do this on yourself, then you don't have the two hands to be able to do it. The other hand's here. So we'll do the same sort of process as we just did. Rip off an anchor, or rip off the paper to create an anchor. All right, there's our anchor. Now we've got to put it down below. So here's a problem. Down below here, and rub to get the adhesive. Now this one, we're going to put just off full. It'll be around about 80 to 90%. Okay, so we rub that on. So now take the backing off. So 80 to 90% because we need the recoil, as I said to you, of the tape. And this, again, you don't have to worry too much. Look, there's 100% right there. It won't stretch any further. Come back a tiny bit. All right, so there's 100. Come back a tiny bit. Lay it down. All right, that's right over the side of pain or injury if it was. And then there's your little anchor, 0%. Once again, anchor, anchor, the stretch. So now, there you have it. That's exactly how you would treat tennis elbow, right there. So I'll keep going through this. You'll understand this more and more, but they are the basic principles of doing kinesio taping for the vast majority of pain, of injuries, and that sort of thing. There are other types that we'll look at for stabilization, different areas in the joints of the knees and the shoulders, but the majority, as you'll see, are as simple as that. So I hope that's demystified kinesio tape and kinesio taping for you. Now, if you want to get into more of a deep dive, you've got specific aches or pains, problems, knee pain, ankle pain, shoulder, wrist pain, plantar fasciitis, neck pain, lower back pain, all of these things, I cover all of these different conditions in my kinesio taping course. So you can see the description in the description box, you'll see a link to that course. So if you really want to get more into kinesio taping, you can do this. Thousands upon thousands of students of mine have studied this course, and you can too. As I say, you'll have lifetime access to treat any conditions. So the next time you get a lower back pain, you will know how you can treat your own lower back on yourself. I go through all of this. It might be a shoulder pain that just comes up. So you'll always have that. So if you've got any pains in the future, you'll be able to do kinesio taping because it will always be there for you. So thanks so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video if you like it down below, and of course, comment if you've got anything to say. Thank you so much. So don't forget to subscribe, like the channel, and also comment below. And if you're ever in Cozumel, Mexico, come and visit us here at Pickleball.